Comparison rarely arrives loudly. Most of the time, it slips through the side door. Maybe it's a quick glance at someone's polished life online. Sometimes it's a casual conversation where a friend mentions retirement plans, a new home, or the freedom to travel more. Other times, it's a reunion where someone seems effortlessly successful, confident, settled, and fully in stride. It can happen at a family gathering where life paths get measured without anyone saying so directly, or at a wedding where people begin asking what your grown children are doing, what you're doing next, and what exciting plans are ahead for you. Suddenly, something shifts. Your breathing changes. Maybe your stomach drops a little. Your attention narrows, and somehow life feels smaller. And now you're carrying a feeling you weren't carrying a moment ago. If you've ever felt like that happened, you know how fast it can hit. One minute you're fine, and the next minute you're questioning things you weren't questioning before. Why is this hitting me so hard? What is this stirring up in me? How did I suddenly end up feeling behind? There's actually a reason for that. Psychologists call it social comparison theory. At its core, human beings naturally evaluate themselves by observing others. Long ago, that helped us to survive. Where do I stand in the group? Am I accepted here? Do I add value? Is this place safe for me? Do I belong? That instinct is still part of us. Modern life, though, has turned the volume way up. Instead of comparing ourselves to a small circle of people we know well, we now compare ourselves to endless snapshots of polished moments, filtered wins, public milestones, carefully chosen highlights, and beautiful moments shown without context. That creates a distorted picture. Sometimes what's visible is the outcome, where uncertainty stays hidden. Confidence may be on display, but fear rarely is. Wealth can be seen. Debt, sacrifice, and sleepless nights usually stay private. Closeness is visible. Conflict, grief, and loneliness often are not. To be fair, that's an impossible comparison to make, honestly. You're comparing your whole life, the messy middle, the private struggles, the things that didn't go according to plan, to someone else's edited surface. No wonder it stings. Midlife makes this louder for another reason. By this stage of life, most women have lived enough life to start taking deeper inventory. Not surface inventory, deep inventory. What did I build? Does any of it still fit? Where have I changed? What still feels unfinished? What do I want now? Those are honest questions. Honest questions create openness, and openness can also create vulnerability. What begins happening is subtle. You notice gaps, not just in what you have, but in what you hoped life might feel like by now. That's where comparison can move from observation into self-judgment. Here's what's important though. Comparison often reveals longing, not failure. That's an important difference. Let's say you feel a sharp pang when you see someone build a thriving business. You may not actually want their business. What may be stirring is freedom, creative work, financial stability, or ownership of your time. Or perhaps what unsettles you is seeing someone deeply connected in marriage or family life. What surfaces then may be longing for companionship, emotional closeness, shared adventure, or simply feeling deeply known. Seeing clearly, comparison becomes useful information. It tells you where desire still lives. That opens a better question. What is this moment revealing that I deeply want in my own life? That's where comparison becomes directional instead of discouraging. Let me give you a real life example. Picture a woman scrolling through social media late at night. She comes across a woman her age who seems to have built a life that feels exciting, purposeful, and fully her own. Immediately, that familiar feeling lands in her stomach. I missed my chance. But after sitting with it for a moment, something deeper becomes clear. It isn't really that business that she wants. What pulls at her is the freedom to shape her own days, meaningful creative work, and the feeling of building something that feels alive and deeply hers. Once she sees that clearly, the ache starts making sense. For the next 48 hours, try this. Step away from comparison fuel. Put some distance between yourself and the constant stream of other people's lives. Ease off social scrolling for a couple of days. Pay attention to what leaves you feeling heavy, tense, or not quite yourself and step back from it. Give your mind room to breathe. Then pay attention. Does your breathing settle? Is your mind less restless? Do your priorities become clearer? Are your own desires easier to hear? You may be surprised by what quiets down and what becomes stronger. Many people think they need more confidence, when what they actually need is less comparison exposure and more connection to their own life. What you feed your mind matters more than what most people realize. Guard what shapes your attention, because attention shapes peace and eventually shapes your identity. Your life does not need to measure against borrowed standards. It needs to feel rooted in what genuinely fits your life. That only happens when you stop measuring yourself against someone else's edited version of success. If this message connects with where you are, I'd love to stay connected. Links are below. Remember, progress doesn't come from pressure, it comes from clarity.